Hello guys, welcome to Touchline Talk / the Post-Mortem. It's sort of a combined show today. Normally, as you guys know, we do Touchline Talk 11 AM on Wednesdays, but due to the timing of the Champions League game last night, I just felt like it was better to combine the two shows into one today. So we are going to discuss the Real Madrid game, of course, Man City, Real Madrid 3, Man City 3. The game, consequences, storylines, the narratives. But then we'll also have the Touchline Talk segment after the Post-Mortem segment. So, you know, the general Q&A section. Apologies. That was slightly late, and apologies that I look like I do. I just didn't get that much sleep. My cat decided to cough up hairballs in the night. So that's the state of play that right now. But I'm here now. Don't worry about that. Yes to Mad Dog. Yeah, guys, if you want to leave a like on the video, that would be lovely. I love that from Phil. Da, 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 da. It's a banging song, isn't it? Hello, Billy. All you frauds, Australia, say hello. Love that from you. Double ads, sorry about that, NA. Ads don't run throughout the stream, though. I do have the option to do that, but I don't do it. Yet, anyway. Hello from Nigeria. Hello, Mars. Hello from your basement, says NA. I do not have a basement. We'll walk back in a second, like asks Neil. I think he will. Pepsi refs Rodri. Yes, we'll get into Rodri. Big shout out to Connor. Bree says this morning feeling really good about a game yesterday. Have to remember Real Madrid are footballing royalty. Indeed. Your cat's a Madrid fan. Da, 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 da. I love that song. And Foden is that guy, says Joshua. And yeah, let's just get straight into it, shall we? Let's get into the Man City Real Madrid game. Keep your comments coming in. Keep your questions coming in. This is an interactive show. The point is that I want to engage with you guys as much as I can, not just people who super chat, to anyone who, or not just the super chatters, not just the members, try to respond to anyone and indeed everyone. Mate, Kyle Walker's been trying to do that screamer for however long. It was the last time Kyle Walker actually was successfully cashed in that check. Gavardia, weak foot, bam. For me, that was my favourite City goal of them all. What happened to my low career? I quit because I hated it and because I like this. Right, yes, the game. Obviously a perfect start. I just found it really funny, as we mentioned on my watch along, that Real Madrid went through all that effort, you know, like in like the build up to the game, you know, getting all the supporters to all wear white, closing the roof to try to make it a cauldron, it being the most attended like game at the Bernabeu ever. And in sort of like the first 5 minutes, the goalkeeper / the wall sort of has a bit of a miscommunication. Bernardo just goes, I love scoring against Real Madrid, so if you're going to give me that option, I'll just do it. I just thought that was really, really funny. And it sort of set City up perfectly. From there, for like the next few minutes, I was really happy with how we played the game in respect of like controlling the play. Their first goal, I can't really complain about. I know on like the BT Sports or TNT Sports review, they were discussing, you know, can Kovacic get closer? Can he close down Camavinga, etc. I personally think that's a bit harsh. At the end of the day, it's a ridiculous, wicked deflection, which actually went down as an own goal. I don't know how much any City player could have done with that, to be fair. So I can't really, I'm not going to criticise the defending on like the first goal. The second goal, very disappointed though. Mainly with Pep, to be honest. It was almost like Pep Guardiola for that sort of like second goal, the way like we set up defensively. He was like treating Akanji like he was Kyle Walker, and like he could make up that ground and get back. If you go have a look at the average positioning of the game from yesterday, just go take a look at the average positions of like Vinicius and Rodrigo. It's hilarious. It's so blatant and obvious what the strategy is, just to try to exploit our right-hand side, which makes sense because we didn't have Kyle Walker. But we knew we didn't have Kyle Walker, so surely we should have just backed off a little bit. I don't know, because we just sort of like somehow conceded like this fake transitional moment, and then it's a great ball by Vinicius, obviously, and then out of nowhere, Rodrigo's in. And Akanji, as fantastic as he is never going to catch him because he isn't Kyle Walker. That was a game purpose built for him. And even then, it's a deflected effort, isn't it, from Rodrigo? So I do feel really sorry for Ortega. But just throughout the game, so those were the goals. And then their Valverde goal, like, again, I think it's just a world-class strike. But players who you would expect to not make silly errors in possession particularly did make those silly errors, and that was probably what I was most disappointed with the game about yesterday. We were always going to get beaten from a physical perspective because Real Madrid have some monsters in that midfield, especially, the likes of a Camavinga. I know Chimini played in the back line, but him, Rudiger, etc. Jude Bellingham. But it was just the amount of like silly little unforced errors that I was very upset about. Upset's a weird word. Disappointed with. Primarily, again, players you associate with Control, Rodri, Bernardo Silva. In the first half, John Stones. Kovacic up until like the 65th minute was poor. And I don't know whether that was due to I doubt it's due to the occasion because these guys have played in a Champions League final. They've played at Anfield's a much more terrifying ground, and they've done better there in the past. I'm not quite sure what was going on there, and maybe, as people have alluded to in the chat, maybe the Rodri one, for example, is he just mentally exhausted? Is it even a physical thing at this point? Pep the other day said that everyone was like, fully fit, fully sharp. Is he just mentally fatigued because he's just had zero rest throughout basically the entire season? I don't want to be making excuses for him, but I think that might be a reasonable assessment and conclusion. The Luton game is coming up at home. Can anyone else think of another opportunity we might have to maybe give him a rest before the vital run-in? I don't think so. And ideally, you don't even want to rest him against Luton because Luton aren't a bad team. Like, Luton are good. I know they might get relegated, but I don't care. They are a good team. We struggled at their ground. We should be winning at home. So maybe that's the opportunity to rest him. But it's not an ideal situation. But that's 2 games in a row now where Rodri's been borderline bad in the game. It's certainly his 2 worst performances back to back if you exclude the red card game against Sheffield United, was it? Or whoever it was. I can't remember. I think it was Sheffield United. Pretty sure it was. So maybe the solution is to just, as I say, give him a rest because he hasn't really had one. We need him fully sharp and fully rested for the title run-in. Is it a coincidence that his 2 worst games have come back to back? I'm not so sure it is. And again, I don't know how much I can applaud Real Madrid for that. I think basically all of it is just unforced errors. Whether it was Rodri getting caught out on the ball when I know against Crystal Palace or Aston Villa, whoever it was, where I know that he'd normally be so switched on and aware. Oh, sorry, was it Forest? Thank you, Mars. It was a team that played in red, so I was half right. A relegation threatened team that plays in red. Boom, there we go. Basically the same thing. It's not. That's a joke. So yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I do hope that this is a 1-off / 2-off, and ultimately he will be fine. Let me know what you guys think though. Do you think that he should be rested against Luton? Can we afford to rest him against Luton? Do we maybe start him for the first 60 minutes, try to win the game, give him 30 minutes off? Or do we bench him and only bring him on if we need to? What do you guys think? Let me know. Let me know what you reckon. You can't close the roof after coughing. Brilliant, Billy. Yeah, Connor, yeah, well, as you can tell from the title of the stream, we'll get into Grealish and Gvardiol, who are unreal. He didn't go to Madrid. I did not. It's quite expensive to go to for a trip. Went to the matchday vlogs. Yeah, I'm not. I'm moving away from matchday vlogs on the channel. I don't really want my channel to be associated with matchday vlogs, to be honest. I didn't enjoy doing them. The experience of doing them ruins my enjoyment of watching the game. I just felt like a massive arse sitting there recording the game. I just felt really uncomfortable. Holland's case has been interesting. He's been shite, but we haven't created anything from him at the same time. Yeah, we'll get into Holland as well, don't you worry. Nobbins, that game's easy. if not for the 2 deflected goals. Walker with caught Rodrigo. I do agree with that Walker one for sure. Which that Alvarez, how Haaland's not helping. It will, as I say, we'll get into Haaland. I feel massive satisfaction. Yes, indeed. Kovacic was overwhelmed. Tom and Jerry. Yes, this is a lovely top. Shout out Tom and Jerry. I think after 2 Real Madrid goals, even Rodri got a bit nervous. Yeah, I don't know how much of that is nerves and how much of that is just, as I say, mental exhaustion, fatigue, physical, maybe. Just not getting a rest at all must be pretty draining. If you do anything over and over and over and over again, doesn't matter what job you're in, doesn't matter how engaging it is, there's always going to be some sort of mental fatigue if it's the same stuff without any rest. Why do you rate that mandatory? Wow, you rate that mandatory defensive run helping. You rate that mandatory defensive run helping. I'm sorry, I don't know what that means, Neil. Morning, formidable. Coven is with Rico inverted. Oh, is this in case Rodri's not available? Well, if we need to rest him, yeah. For me, probably the best midfield would be, yeah, probably that Nunes Kova. If Stones isn't available, then I guess Rico inverting. But I probably would still like to see Stones in there for a bit of physical, because we'd lose a lot of physicality if Rodri's not there. So I'd probably prefer Stones to be probably pushing up alongside Kovacic, I suppose. It's not an ideal situation, but off the ball, Nunes and Kovacic can work together. I don't expect us to be off the ball a lot against Luton either at home. It could be an option to rest him for sure. Rodri's tired. No rest for Rodri before we get Bruno G and Paquetá, mate. That would be a beautiful time when that happens. Physically demanding 100%. If we can't be Luton without Rodri, we don't deserve the Premier League. Interesting. It's probably quite correct. Hello, Eric. Shout out to your little brown rat badge. Thank you for being a YouTube member, mate. It genuinely means the world. City's goal smashed the dodgy roof. Defo rest Rodri. There won't be another chance this season. Rest Rodri when against Luton. Yeah, that's what we're discussing now, Jay. Yeah, there's probably not. Well, there's certainly not going to be another chance unless you want to. He's not going to get a rest in the Champions League. Fact. He's not going to get a rest in any other Premier League game. Fact. So the only other opportunity to even consider resting him would be the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea. Do you want to rest him against Chelsea, a side who even failed to beat this season? Even though the FA Cup's like the least important competition of those three. I don't think you do that. So for me, this is now the final opportunity to give him a rest, potentially. Hello, CJ, who says, what a game, 100%. Haaland dominated by Rudiger, making space for Foden and Gavard to score. Yeah, you've summarised it brilliantly there, and we'll get into that for sure. Guys, please make sure you are leaving a like on the video and the stream. It is free. It helps me out. This is my job. We've got over 100 people watching. It's so good to see us regularly get like over 100 people for a Wednesday morning show. Fantastic work, guys. Well done. Give yourselves a pat on the back. And as I said, please leave a like on the video. We're currently on 38 likes, which is quite frankly pathetic. I want us to get to 100 likes. Come on, guys. It's free. Help your boy out. If you like my content, you'll leave a like for me. It's free. I know it's annoying that I ask, but if you do it for me, I'll stop asking. So there we go. Yes, there is a Discord in the YouTube video description, Jorgen, if you would like to join it. If the link isn't working, just let me know, and I will make sure it is working. Yes, so that was like the Real Madrid goals. It is a good thing that we got a result at the end of the day, because I did think that the high line over and over again was very upsetting. There was also this one move which Real Madrid kept doing, and we just didn't quite figure out how to deal with that. It was just it would normally be Carvajal and this is what we'll get into Jack Grealish. If we didn't have Jack Grealish on the pitch, then we lose by a fair margin, I think, because Carvajal was causing us some serious problems. Like, we had to sometimes play a back five out of possession. That's how deep Jack Grealish was finding he had to drop, because Carvajal was pushing up so much. It was this very basic diagonal ball from sort of just past the halfway line, which every single time Real Madrid were getting joy with. And like I've seen people criticize Real Madrid for playing like this long ball. Hopefully, another one. The perfect example was when Bellingham got half chance when like the ball came over the top, and it was in between the two centre halves, and neither of them really dealt with it, and it fell to Bellingham, and thankfully he made a bit of a pig's ear of the chance. But that wasn't the only example. It did keep happening. And again, I've seen people criticize like Real Madrid's strategy, like, oh, you're just doing long balls. Like, what have you come to? If a strategy's working, a strategy's working, and we could not deal with it at all. That was again disappointing. I'm surprised because Ruben Diaz was on the pitch, and he's normally like really, really good in terms of like being aggressive and dealing with those aerials. Ultimately and thankfully, it didn't lead to any. It didn't lead to any goals. I was gonna say it didn't lead to any chances, but it did because Bellingham maybe could have done better with. You know the one I mean, where he doesn't quite get it out under his feet, and thankfully a combination of Stones, Diaz, and Ortega are able to deal with it. It goes behind for a corner. But we've got to be more switched on for those sort of moments. Preferably, we prevent the cross coming in. If that's impossible, we need to deal with those second balls a lot better when it comes to the second leg. Otherwise, they're going to get even more joy out of it. And just plays into Real Madrid's hands. Felt too often yesterday we played into their hands a little bit. For me, whether it was playing that high defensive line, whether it was just inviting those runs on from Vinicius and Rodrigo and Bellingham, whether it was just not dealing with those balls over the top, whether it was just being sloppy in possession and succeeding counterattacks. That's exactly how Real Madrid wanted to play. When we went 2-1 up, do you see how dirty that low block was? But then, as soon as we lost the ball, did you see how quickly they got up the pitch? We must not play into their hands in the second leg. I've been very negative so far, I feel like. Let's now talk about the good stuff, shall we? I feel like it's important to talk about the bad stuff and highlight that, and then talk about the good stuff. Maybe the last thing on that, I personally don't know how impressed I was with Real Madrid. Let's say compared to Aston Villa. I thought Aston Villa were sensational against us. I'm talking about the game at Villa Park. That was where they forced error after error after error. I feel like that we forced our own errors yesterday. I don't know how much I can attribute to Real Madrid. I think we're making our own mistakes, if that makes sense. They still played well. I think a draw was a fair result. But I wasn't overly impressed with Real Madrid. More so, I was more annoyed with how we set up in our defense. But let's talk about the good stuff now. The title of the stream is The Left Side of Dreams. Don't worry, guys, we'll get into Haaland. But I wanted to start this phase of the stream with how good our left side was. Massive, massive shout out to Joško Gvardiol, my man of the match, without the goal, probably. Even without the goal. He was a doubt as to whether he was even going to start. He'd done some very, very light training. He allegedly wasn't going to be fit, wasn't going to be sharp enough. He turns up at the Bernabeu, and he's been criticised a lot this season, incorrectly in my opinion. But if you were going to have a go at Gvardiol, the one thing you would say is that sometimes defending those wide areas, little bit suspect defensively. Against Arsenal, there was no evidence of that. Against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu in a Champions League quarter-final, there was no evidence of that. He was absolutely wonderful. Imperious, you might say. It was... He looks like I know he wasn't a world record defence line, but he looks like a world record defence line. He looked like a £100 million defender. On the ball, so comfortable, creating chances for others. That one through ball he did for Phil Foden, who should have done better with the cross. Sensational stuff. Just defensively, the tenacity in the wide areas. We never looked uncomfortable down our right. Sorry, down our left, Real Madrid's right. Now, that was obviously in part due to Gvardiol, but also let's give a massive shout out to his left-wing partner, Jack Grealish, who has been, as a joke by rival fans, labelled as a defensive winger. But that's crucial. That's so important, especially when you've got a more offensive-minded defender like Gvardiol who wants to push up the pitch and get involved in the play. You need a more conservative winger to balance that out. And they are building such a beautiful connection, Gvardiol and Grealish. I thought Ake's and Grealish's was good last season. But that whole left side of that sort of like left half space triangle, if you will, we've seen it a lot this season. It's Gvardiol, Foden, Grealish. That is beautiful and majestic to see. Gvardiol and Foden have this fantastic relationship, like where Gvardiol fizzes it into him and Foden takes it on the half turn, and likewise with Foden and Grealish. And I feel like I'm saying this every single stream now. Jack Grealish is the glue. Yeah? He comes into the side, and for the past like a couple of weeks, we've been playing some of our better football, certainly going forwards anyway. We're so much more fluid. We are just so much more stable. We're just so much more dangerous. And ultimately, the what could have been the winner / what turned out to be the goal which would like give us the draw came from Grealish and his fantastic work off that left, and this time rewarded with an assist. Love to see that. He was so good against Crystal Palace, involved in all four goals. Didn't get an assist due to like deflections and stuff. Finally gets his reward today, and he was sensational. He does definitely need to improve his shooting. I feel like I say this every single week. He just needs to improve his shooting. He sort of telegraphs to the world what he's going to do, because he's only really got one trick when it comes to shooting, and it's that sort of like standing still, cutting inside, creating a half space and going for goal. Now, sometimes it does work, but there is a reason why so many of his shots are blocked, and that's because sometimes he is a bit too predictable. So he does need to improve in that respect. But again, I will keep singing Jack's praises because he is so vital and crucial. And I think the next video on the channel has got to be analysing Jack Grealish and why he's more important than people give him credit for, and why he's better than most people think he is. You guys know how much I rate Jack Grealish. Gvardiol, the standing leg was, yeah, Mark, it was unbelievable. He's tried that a few times this season. I think it was the West Ham game. I think that there was another game away from home where he tries to cut inside on the right, and they either just go straight at the goalkeeper or they just go like well wide. So this was the first time that it actually worked. And again, he has it's something that he's been doing like regularly, and this time it happened to work out. And he apparently said that in an interview that his touch was poor, like, so he apparently didn't mean to do it, but if that is a poor touch, then the fact he's able to turn it into something brilliant and then have the wherewithal to go. So let's take him at face value and assume that touch that he made, which I thought was a very good touch, but he said it was like a mistake or a bad touch. So let's take him at face value and say like he didn't mean to do that. To then have the wherewithal to go, well, I could safely play this to the side backwards because I've miscontrolled this. I don't want to suffer a counterattack. Or I could just leather it with my right foot and bend it into the goal. I love that that's his I love that that's his attitude. And it was, and I was just so happy with Gvardiol. I've been really happy with him this season. He's had some moments here and there where he's been a little bit suspect defensively in moments. I think of like the goal against Burnley, the opener against Luton should get closer to him. He did get nutmegged for the West Ham opener at West Ham, but people are really nitpicking. And actually, for me, he's probably been like the best left back in the Premier League this season. I know he's not a left back, but I don't care. If you ask me to make a team of the season, I'm putting in, and I've got to play a player who's been played at left back this season. I'm putting Joshko in. I think he's been fantastic. I really do. People are saying it's a flop. I mean, just shut up. I know no one here does that because we're not idiots, but the people who don't actually watch City and just like watch highlights of like, failed comps and decide that he's been underwhelming, I actually don't know what to say to you other than I'm angry and I'm disappointed with you, and you should seek advice. Give a quick summary. So we did a summary of the goals earlier, Johnny. If you want to take a look at that, yeah, guys, make sure to leave a like on the video. Shout out to Connor. Let's get the likes up. I want to get to 100 likes. Want to see Doku and Grealish start the second leg. I want the exact same team, but De Bruyne played instead. Maybe De Bruyne or Sevkova. Pep's wasting Haaland's ability. Oh yeah, we'll get to keep your comments about Haaland. We'll come to that. Stones World Cup forgot to take Bellingham out of his pocket. Big up everyone, says Elder. Roger needs a rest. Totally agree. Yeah, we discussed that. Guevara was so important. Showed why cost a fee. Physical monster. Yeah, he is. He's I feel like the word unicorn is overused when it comes to, like, you know, analyzing footballers. But I do think he is that. He's very, very unique. How many centre backs can you say are comfortable at left wing and at left back and just in those areas? It's unreal. Barbadell, yeah, I can't believe that. I think, again, people forget how young he is. I think it's because of the beard, maybe. Maybe. What goal Guevara scored? He's been taking shots all season, bound to happen at some point, and to happen at the Bernabeu 100%. Do you read into the constant rumour of us happy to sell Jack? No chance. There is no world in which Guardiola is happy to lose Jack Grealish. Again, just look at the games where we've struggled and where Jack hasn't featured, and look at the games where he has featured and how much better we have looked. I really hate, I just don't buy into this idea that, you know, Pep's ruined Grealish and that, you know, the Aston Villa Grealish is dead. If anything, this is a more rounded player, if anything, and it's clearly Pep adores him, and Pep clearly values what he brings, as hopefully we all value what he brings. Guevara and Grealish weren't great. They looked great because the rest of the team were terrible. Not sure I agree with that. Jack's definitely a starter, yeah. For me, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. But watching most of Madrid games, he drops a stinker in most of them, but he's saved by GA. Is that Bellingham? Hello, Will. Have you seen the... Yes, I've seen the Gabriel penalty controversy. Look, to me, it looked like it should have been a penalty by the letter of the law. Big up Jack Grealish, prop underrated. Yeah, totally agree. Very good left side, yes, but also many opportunities to punch the ball in behind. Carvajal, De Bruyne, second leg will play those. Passes, yes, Bailey. And look, De Bruyne was going to play. De Bruyne was going to start, but he was ill. Like he like was vomiting apparently, and that can't be when you must have trained all week or whatever to go right. This is gonna be the situation. De Bruyne will start, and then that is a massive spanner into the works at the final hour. That can't be easy for the players to deal with. So shout out to the players, like, I guess, for ultimately dealing with that. We haven't touched on Foden. We're obviously going to touch on Foden. We haven't yet spoken about Haaland. We will do that. Are there any other players who we feel like we need to talk about, whether for Real Madrid or City? Bellingham, I think we'll talk about him because he was bad. He was disappointing. Any other City players? Kovacic underwhelming, as I say. I thought the team as a whole basically were fine from sort of around the 60th minute-ish. Before then, I wasn't happy with Bernardo, wasn't happy with Rodri, wasn't happy with Kova, wasn't really happy with Stones. Stones popped off in that second half, much better. Anyone else I was disappointed with? Not really. Those were the main players. Yeah, we've mentioned Rodri does need a rest 100%. Yes, we'll be doing L-Bins straight after this show, by the way, so don't go anywhere, guys, because we will be doing an L-Bin straight after this show. It should have been a pen, but at the same time, no neutral wants to see pens because it ruins it. But I just don't know if we can pick and choose rules, though, can we? If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. I didn't agree with the reasoning of it's a kid's mistake. Like that's not fair to Bayern. If Bayern made that mistake, then wouldn't Arsenal fans be demanding the penalty? I think if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. In the same way that at that point, like, you know, should I not punish a foul throw because it's like a kid's mistake and you shouldn't make it in the Premier League? I don't know. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You get me? If I was a Bayern fan, I'd be annoyed that wasn't given personally. A Kanji exposure, missing Walker on that side. Yes, exactly. And yeah, we touched on that, Con. You're absolutely right. You can't play a Kanji like he's Kyle Walker. That second Real Madrid goal is the perfect representation of that. You can't play a high line whilst also being expected to defend those runs from deep unless you are Kyle Walker. There's very few... Van der Ven can do it. Kyle Walker can do it. There's very few and limited defenders who can do both jobs at the same time. So we really shouldn't have set out to do that. Hopefully for the second leg, Walker will be available. And again, I've been a massive critic of Kyle Walker this season, and I'll defend those criticisms because he has been our worst player this season. But for those very specific instances, you need him. Mom Spaghetti, brilliant. Foden for the Ballon d'Or. Yeah, shall we get on to Foden now? Or maybe just because like you mentioned the Ballon d'Or, let's maybe mention touch on another player who lots of people have been earmarking for the Ballon d'Or. I was so, as an England fan, I was so disappointed with Bellingham's performance. Not just in terms of like the actual football side of things. I can't really remember him offering anything outside. I think he won the ball back from Bernardo once, but again, I attribute that to more to Bernardo having the poor game, as we discussed up until like the 60th minute. Goal aside, I don't really care. Yeah, Bellingham was bad. He was bad. He didn't offer anything going forwards, didn't offer anything defensively. But what I was most disappointed with were the antics. He should have been booked in that game, 100%. He should be missing the second leg. The amount of complaining and bitching and diving and just rolling around and crying and gestating was embarrassing, man. He wasn't the only player to do it. I mean, Vinicius did it a lot. Rodrigo did it a lot. I expect better from Jude Bellingham, quite frankly. It was really bad. It's a Champions League quarter-final. You're at home. You need to turn up. He was one of the worst players on the pitch, to be honest, over the 90 minutes. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. He was so poor. Again, if I was a Real Madrid fan, I would be so upset. There's a difference between being a shithouse, Will, and being a bitching crybaby. And once again, you can maybe get away with that if you play fantastically well on the day, but he didn't. He was crap. So he can hold that, to be honest. Foden, on the other hand, also wasn't great, to be fair. He was, I think the word is probably fine up until the goal. Underwhelming, sure. I would say that my main issue with it, though, was because again, lots of people were going too far the other way, I think. And you have to remember that if your deeper midfielders and defenders don't get the ball into you enough, and if they have a bad game, then there's not really much you can do as an attacker, to be fair. Like, if you're expecting to receive those balls and you don't get them, there is very little you can do. It was similar to the Arsenal game, where I accept Foden did play poorly against Arsenal, but I attribute a lot of that down to the fact that players like Kovacic, Rodri, Bernardo, Stones, etc., were just not finding him. And it was a similar vibe yesterday. We were not finding Foden or Haaland enough in those areas. When we did, more so in the second half, we saw what happened. There was a warning sign of it, like 5 to 10 minutes before Foden's goal, where Foden picked it up, and he loves that. He loves shooting in that area. We've seen him do it so many times. The first time we really saw it was like against Dortmund in the Champions League all those years ago, like 2021, was it, like 3 years ago? We saw it against Manchester United in the derby. We've seen it against Everton this season. We see it continually happen. He's so good at picking the ball up in that area and just lashing it from outside the box with his stronger left and popping it top corner, left or right from that position. There was a warning sign, just went straight down the middle into the keeper. Then, as I say, 5-10 minutes later, he did the exact same trick. Real Madrid were backing off, almost inviting that shot. And you ask your best players to step up in the biggest moments. People incorrectly saying that Foden isn't that guy in those moments, despite him doing that all season. Hopefully that narrative can now be shut. It shouldn't have been run anyway. This guy's scored when it mattered at Anfield. He scored when it mattered against Spurs. He scored when it mattered against Man United twice. This is a big game player, and this is a big moments player, and this is a special player. And that is sort of that's a Mo Salah quality. That is a De Bruyne quality. You can play poorly throughout the game or subpar throughout the game, but in these games, are you going to step up in the moment? Doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily matter if you perform badly in these moment games. When it comes to it, as they say, when the lights are brightest, do you step up? Or will the lights be too bright for you? You know, do you have to wear shades? And Foden was like, I don't care. I'm at the Bernabeu. I don't care that we're losing 2-1. I'm going to score this goal. I'm going to be the reason why we get back into this game. And to take on that responsibility, still a young man. I know he's 23 now. We're getting towards the point where we can't really call him young anymore. But again, taking on that mantle of De Bruyne. That's the thing as well. And we touched on this in my watch-along. That goal was very, very similar to the De Bruyne goal at the Bernabeu last season, where again, where City are losing, and he just decides, I'm just going to score here. In that moment, once again, it's this really lovely metaphor and representation. We first saw it in the Champions League final. De Bruyne comes off, Foden comes on. That almost passing of the mantle, passing of the torch. De Bruyne injured at the start of the season for like half of it. Foden gets his midfield chance, and he's put the team on his back at times this season, and has been our best player for me. He's taken on that ownership that De Bruyne would normally give us, and that responsibility. And again, De Bruyne is ill. Foden was probably going to be played on the right. Foden's given that chance in the middle, scores, brilliant. And from there was just superb, was brilliant. Again, underwhelming before that, I agree, as with basically every single City player. But once again, will you stand up when it matters most? And he did. And now we should be winning this tie. Thanks to that effort. It was just it was fantastic to see. If we win the Champions League, Foden has to win it. He will definitely he if he's not on the podium, then it's a bit ridiculous, because I've touched on this before. The Ballon d'Or is so heavily outside of like the World Cup / Euros, and it is a Euros year, to be fair. The Ballon d'Or is so heavily biased towards the Champions League. League, what you do in the league doesn't really matter as much. It still matters to an extent. Like if you have a ridiculous league season, then it can't be ignored. But generally speaking, it's the Champions League which matters the most in terms of Ballon d'Or positioning. So yeah, if City win the Champions League, at least one City player will be on that podium. And if the best player this season for me has been Foden, then Foden should be on that podium. And if Foden's like a main reason why we win that Champions League and or the league title, then he should, outside of like Mbappe popping off at the Euros for France, then he should win it. 100%, yeah. Foden's finally a very important player. Yeah, he had to perform this season, and it happened. Calm says we'll batter them in the second leg. It could happen. Bellingham is aggressive, and there's nothing wrong with being aggressive, but you've got to show it on the pitch as well. And he was just crap, to be honest. Bellingham will it because of the fact he plays for Real Madrid. If he keeps up his form, says Carlos, maybe. But if he gets knocked out of the quarterfinal stage, it will be very, very tricky for him to be justified to win it, based on past precedent. Anyway, it's very uncommon for players to get knocked out before the semi-finals of the Champions League to make the podium. Foden was poor, don't agree. The multiple points which he lost the ball too easily, moment where he could have put... Yes, I do agree. I do agree that he should have played him through in that moment. To say he saved himself for that goal is underselling what he did. I'll repeat. This was at the Bernabeu in a Champions League quarter-final when your team are losing 2-1. You've got to give him a bit more credit than he saved himself with that goal. I think you've got to applaud him for that personally. The fact Camavinga escaped a booking was absolutely pathetic, man. And it's such a shame because the referee, I thought, had a good game throughout basically the entirety of the match, but he bottled it. He bottled it with a Camavinga booking. He bottled it with the Bellingham booking. And to be honest, he bottled it with the Vinicius booking. They all should have been booked, and they all should have missed the next game. But hey-ho. Tchouaméni got booked, so at least we have that. Do you think we could do the treble again? Very, very unlikely. Very unlikely. I think second half Stones pushing high gave Foden room to begin to operate, helped him get into the game second half. Yeah, and Stones in general was also better. So yeah, those tweaks I'm sure helped. But for me, the main thing which helped was just being more assured on the ball, to be honest. Sort of after the 55th, 60th minute, we started to do that. Jack says his slap shot into the bottom corner against Dortmund is still one of my favourite goals. Yeah, that was ridiculous, man, wasn't it? Foden reminds me of a certain someone. Who is that, Shivam? If Phil gets 10 to 15 G in some top performances, I can't see why he shouldn't be able to win the Ballon d'Or. All depends. Well, this is what I will say. Most people have not been watching Jude Bellingham this season. Most people look at his goals and assists and decide that he should win the Ballon d'Or. Well, Foden's got more than him now. So if that's their logic, then those people should now be saying that Foden should be winning it. That's what I will say on that. Foden said, I can match your goal, Kev, yeah. Border says the current system isn't working well against big teams. Haaland was a ghost. Shall we get to Haaland now? Because I feel like... well, yeah. But again, World Cup year, Carlos. Any other year he wins that, but World Cup year. Let's get on to Haaland now, shall we? Because... No, for more... I think Toby, he means like more like from this point, because he's already got like 32, I think. So I think he means 10 more from here. Let's get into Haaland, shall we? I've seen this question a lot, so maybe we should answer this. How do we stop being so vulnerable on the counter attack? There's a sort of... there's a dual-edged sword, because me and LB have discussed this. The squad, or rather the profiles that we had last season, which could have dealt with these counterattacks easily, whilst also simultaneously being fluid and solid in the attack, have gone. And by profiles, I mean profile, Gundogan. Any other absentee, I don't really think matters that much. Because Gundogan was fantastic in all phases. He's what we call an all-phase midfielder. He's really good in respect of build-up, the first phase. He's really good in respect of progression. The second phase is really good in respect of attacking and finishing the final phase. He's also very good out of possession. He's also very good in transition. You know, some people attribute transition to some people attribute phases to the transitions. If he wants to do that, he can do that as well. As we all know, we haven't replaced him. So we're now in the situation where we can't play optimal football. Or we can't play the football that Pep wants to play optimally. So that puts us in a situation whereby we can either be a little bit blunt in attack, but be a bit more solid in terms of rest defense, or we can almost overly commit to our attack. For example, against Crystal Palace, we played a 3-1-6. Now, and again, that is a bit of a dual-edged sword, because it means that you outnumber Crystal Palace, because they played a back five, so you outnumber them, so it means that you're better going forwards, but naturally you are worse. You deal with transitions less. But at this stage in the season, again, me and LB have discussed it, we almost sort of have to commit to that mentality, I think. Not leaving Rodri exposed entirely, but we are definitely going to have to prioritise winning and almost trying to outfire the opposition rather than trying to control and dominate a game for 90 minutes, because it's just not practical. And our defence this season it's not even like our defence this season has been stable. We've been making silly errors. So we might as well just almost go for it in a way. So we are going to concede more counterattacks. So don't expect that to change this season, sadly. We will be vulnerable on the counterattack for the remainder of this season. I don't think that's going to be remedied until the summer, when we bring in Paquetá, hopefully, or a player like Bruno Guimaraes, a proper Gundogan replacement. I don't think we're going to see that change personally. So we are going to get exposed. We would have got less exposed last night had we had Kyle Walker, who's better at dealing with those transitions. But yeah, I think that there is a long-term solution which can be dealt with in the summer. I don't know if there's a short-term solution, to be honest. There is a solution in terms of like stopping the counterattacks, but then you are forfeiting offensive fluidity going forwards. And again, we're in a situation where every game is must-win, so we probably have to prioritize that. That's my take on that situation anyway. Let me know what you guys think, though. Brent says the way we play will always be vulnerable. And there is definitely a balancing act. Last season, we got it perfectly right and spot on. our rest defense was just so solid, and we were still able to use that as a brilliant base to build attacks upon. But we just don't. But because we lost Gundogan and haven't replaced him, that does really matter. And we do keep banging on about it, but it does really matter. It would be mitigated without Walker. Let's talk about Ortega. I thought it was good. Adnan, yeah, I thought it was fine. Can't really blame him for any of the goals. I do think Edison is needed, though. Connor says, hard to be less vulnerable when you control games, and that's what you give up. Yeah, totally. Connor, recovery specialist in defence like Walker or Gvardiol, midfield, ground cover like Rice for Arsenal. Yes, and look, that's why we wanted Rice. That's why we wanted Bellingham. That's why we wanted Paquetá to be those space eaters in the midfield. Because Pep could clearly see what the errors, what the issues were going to be this season. He tried to address it in the summer. He tried to sign Rice. He tried to sign Bellingham. He tried to sign Paquetá. We would have signed Paquetá, but for the weird gambling situation. So Pep saw it before us all, but sadly, we couldn't get a transfer in that he wanted. Yeah, and Walker, yeah, totally agree. If you don't have Gundogan, you do need Walker there for sure. All about game state. Arsenal scoring first a lot, then they can settle in their rest defense when hunting the goal. Yes, true, Connor, true. Yeah, and I do always say it's the first goal is the most important, because then the opposition has to come out a bit more, and then you can hopefully get them on the counter. What percentage he suggests we can win the league? I was 10% before Liverpool dropped points against Old Trafford. I'm going to up that to 20%. I'm going to up that to 20% because we still need two things to happen. In addition to us winning all of our games, we still need Liverpool to drop points. We still need Arsenal to drop points. So I'll up it to 20%. Key players rested for the Luton game. Definitely Rodri. Don't know who else we can get away with resting. Could lessen the impact of players by playing further back, like Leverkusen. But then the issue with that, though, is that you are relying on the opposition to be baited, and a lot of the time other teams just aren't interested in taking that bait. A lot of times teams just like, nah, we don't want to come out, we'll just defend. So it's a City have too much respect, I think, to do that maybe. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it was too easy, and that comes with the high line, to be fair. In summer, we need a reset, new right back, central midfielder, and one of Kimmich or Bruno. I definitely agree with that. I do think there will be a big summer window. The squad says that, and also people who are sort of like in the know have been suggesting that as well. So I do think we are going to see a 17-18 transfer window where we get we maybe sign 4 players, at least 3 of which are like ready-made starters. I think that's going to be the vibe. Still to play Spurs away, so realistically, Arsenal, Liverpool have to drop even more points. Oh yeah, I'm operating under the assumption that City win all their games for them to have a chance. If we drop any points, I don't think we have a chance. 20% Arsenal are bottlers. You say that, Herbal, but they're doing quite well so far. They can't handle being chased. 50%. It all depends on us. I do think, Herbal, to be fair, I do think if we win all our games, we do win the league. I'd be very surprised if Liverpool and Arsenal won all their games from now to the end of the season. That's what I think. Shall we now discuss Erling Haaland, maybe, guys? We've got nearly 250 people watching a Wednesday morning show. Unbelievable, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. How many likes are we on? We're on 134. I'm greedy. I would like 150 now, please, guys. Make it happen. You guys are legends. I know it can happen. If you like the video, we get more viewers. If we get more viewers, I can make more content. If we get more content, then I'll be a happy boy. If Nobbins is happy, you're happy. Herbal, that's fair enough, mate. Erling Haaland, who is that? Right. Okay, we're going a bit too far the other way with the Erling Haaland criticism. Now, let's address this. I agree that Erling Haaland did not play particularly well last night. I thought that, conversely, Rudiger played very well. I think that was probably him, and Camavinga were probably the 2 best players on the pitch for Real Madrid for me. Rudiger, we saw last season as well, to be fair, at the Bernabeu, basically dealt with Haaland very well. He is a very good defender. Let's make no mistake about that. Rudiger won all the duels. There you go. So he's a very good defender, and I do think he should be applauded, in fairness. It's not an easy task, winning all your duels against Erling Haaland. So that's good. So yeah, and Haaland should have done better. Yes, despite Rudiger being good, I agree. Haaland should have done better in respect of those matchups. He should, yeah, his hold-up play should have been better. His link-up play should have been better. Totally agree. Where I don't agree, however, is people going too far the other way and saying that he was totally ineffective, totally useless, didn't help do anything. This is where I will push back, because even though Haaland basically lost all, I don't even know if that's correct, because Haaland drew at least one foul from Rudiger, so I don't know how true that is. Did you guys see what we were able to do from a goal kick? Did you see how deep Real Madrid's defensive line was? Did you see that they were basically only sort of like 20 yards out from their own box, from our goal kick? That's how pushed back they were. Why were they so far pushed back? Because of Haaland's positioning. So, yes, Haaland should have done better. However, by virtue of him engaging in those duels, it afforded the rest of the City players space and time. It pushed Real Madrid back. It meant that we didn't have to worry about Ortega's worst-ditch distribution compared to Ederson in terms of building out from the back. Because, again, we forced Real Madrid's defensive line to be further back than they would have wanted. Now, I'm not saying that that's enough. I'll repeat. Haaland should have done better. Totally agree. And I know, Elder, yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm not denying that Haaland should have done better, and I do expect more. But I am going to push back against the idea that he was useless and didn't help or offer us anything. I'll repeat. He pushed Real Madrid's defensive line all the way back. Real Madrid did not want to be in those situations. He did help create space for others. He should have been played in by Foden in that instance. He should have been given more chances. You've also got to remember that if Rudiger is being entirely occupied by Haaland, then that means that one of their that means that, for me, their best defender on the day is out of the game. So that means that you've basically created a situation where you've taken one of their back line out of the game. Now, obviously, you could say, well, by that virtue, they've also taken out one of our attackers. And that's fine, but normally, the way, like, defense versus attack works is that, in general, the defense has more players anyway. So it's more beneficial to eliminate a defender rather than an attacker, if that makes sense. I'm not being an apologist, Julian. Not being an apologist. I'm just pushing back. I've said, I'll say it one more time if you'd like. He should have done better. He needs to do better. He shouldn't be losing basically every single duel against Rudiger. He should be offering more. He should have offered more in that game. But people, again, are going too far. No, it's not about excuses. People aren't understanding what he's offering. I agree that he should have done better. But that doesn't mean that he was entirely woeful and entirely useless. You've got to think about... I'm trying to make it as straightforward as I can in respect of trying to explain what the value is of it. Because so many people are looking at it and going, he's valueless. If the Real Madrid defence is dropped further back, whether that's from goal kicks or whether that's from... or whether that's just from the general play, what is that doing? What is that doing? What did we do in the game? What does that do, and how were we able to exploit that? I will tell you. We scored 2 goals from outside... Well, we scored 3, but you get what I mean. From open play, we scored 2 goals from outside the box. Now, why were we able to do that? How did Real Madrid give us that much time and space? It's because they are terrified of Haaland. Go watch the Foden goal back. And once again, look at the Real Madrid defenders in particular. Look at Rudiger, look at Tchouaméni. Look at who they are concerned with. It's not Foden who's on the ball about to line up the equaliser. It's Erling Haaland. Him being there, him literally just existing and standing there is good for City. By definition. Because once again, it pushes Real Madrid players back. If Real Madrid players are pushed back and are closer to their goal, what does that mean? It means that our midfielders are able to have more space and can score from distance. That has happened a number of times this season. And Ivan, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. The point I'm making is that Haaland can play badly, but he is still offering something. That is the point I'm trying to make here. If that was all he was doing every single game, then I would agree it wouldn't be good enough, and I'd be questioning why we've purchased him. But again, why are Real Madrid players scared of him? Why were they so obsessed with trying to mark him out of the game? Because he's earned their respect, and because he is a fantastic striker. He wouldn't be able to be this decoy. I like that term, by the way. I might start using that. He wouldn't be able to be this decoy, but for the good work he's done previously. So again, I will repeat, Haaland should have done better. Yes. Does he need to do more than being a decoy? Yes. Does he need to do more than creating space for others? Yes. However, in matchups like this, where you're not going to get that much space, and the moments matter, creating space for others, taking the best defender from your opponent out of the game is a big positive for City. He should do more, yes. But to say that he's been crap, to say he's been useless, to say he offers no value, to say that Alvarez should be playing instead of him, to say that we should be playing a false 9 system instead of that, tells me that you aren't paying attention enough to what he is offering. Again, Foden does not score that goal without Haaland existing and being there. And he's earned that gravity throughout his career. I hopefully that summarizes my point on Haaland. There's nothing wrong with criticizing him. I've criticized him. He should do more. But you can't do it one way or the other. I'm not an apologist. I'm just accepting both sides of the argument. Yes, he should do more. Yes, he's nevertheless offering something. This is why it's so wrong when people say, if he doesn't score, he's offering nothing. That is so untrue. That is so untrue. I would just want that. That's a lie. That's not even an untruth. It's a flat out lie, and I just won't stand for lying against my players. I will defend them if they're being lied against. So that's my big thing on Haaland. Yeah, that's something isn't enough. Long term, I agree, but this isn't going to be a long term issue. This is the first season in his career where he's not exceeded his XG. So I agree it's not enough long term, but this isn't his game long term. If Haaland, for example, if Haaland tomorrow turns to shit, then he's not going to be able to be a decoy because defenders won't fear him. So it's not a long term issue. And again, how many goals has he still scored despite having a subpar season? People are looking at this with a very short-term mindset. He's having a poor finishing season, yet he's still offering something else. If he was having a poor finishing season and not offering anything else, I'd be genuinely concerned, but he isn't. So, again, if it happens next season and the season after that, then I will go, right, we need to look into this, what's going on. But the fact of the matter is, this is first season since joining RB Salzburg at the age of 19, where he hasn't ridiculously overperformed his non-penalty expected goals. This is what we need to bear in mind. If it happens next season, then it's a conversation. But it's not going to happen next season. So don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry about it. Thank you so much for the super chat, E-Ink. Love that from you. That was Evie who did a little vomit on the carpet today. Haaland will tinker with his game for next season. And again, he's just having a bad finishing season. There's no wider issue at play, in my opinion. He just happens to be underperforming for once. And even though he's underperforming, he's still got like 30 plus goals and however many assists. Alvarez came on the bench against Madrid last season to score a goal after Haaland couldn't. Haaland doesn't contribute anything right yet. I'm not going to engage with this because this is just brain dead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry if that sounds arrogant of me, but it's not worth my time engaging with that because it's just objectively incorrect and I'm bored. Yeah, guys, if super chats between £2 and £10 make me bald and give me Evie, anything above 10 makes a Ronaldo shoe happen. What do you think? How are we going to play at the Etihad? Asks Rocks. I think we're gonna start the exact same. The exact same lineup. Sorry, the difference is going to be De Bruyne will start. I think probably for covert. I think we'll see Foden popped out on the right. I know that he played so well through the middle, but I just think we'll probably see him on the right side. Because you can't not start De Bruyne if he's available. So I think it'll basically be the same team. The difference in personnel will be Cover and De Bruyne. The difference in setup might be the fact that it's Phil popped out onto the right rather than the middle. These lot take foot mobbers over score ratings are the definitive answer to if someone played well. Yeah. Yeah, again, guys, I don't know how much more I can say on the Haaland situation. I accept he should be doing more, but if he isn't doing what you expect him to do, try to look at what he could be doing, and then go from there. MJ1 says, I'm getting fed up with the media and opposition fans spouting the same. Yeah, well, I can't wait for the day where we get cleared of those charges. It's going to be a beautiful time. It's going to be a beautiful time had by all, and we'll do like a 24-hour fucking happy stream. Liam, what is this? What is this? Do we think Walker for sure plays if he's fit? Yeah, definitely. Haaland going off opened up Madrid's defense, and Alvarez was able to penetrate their defense. Brother, the game was fucking done by then. What are you chatting? Did you not see the 2 world-class saves that Courtois pulled off? Are you like on crack? What's wrong with you, mate? You really think that Alvarez coming on like changed the game or whatever? The game was fucking done, you pleb. What are you chatting? Alright, another stupid comment like that. Can we just time him out? Because I'm not dealing with idiots. I can't be bothered. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. I'm not sorry. You're an idiot. I don't care. No, I'm not sorry. I've been in a bad mood the past few weeks. I've been in a really bad mood the past few weeks. You can shut up and you can hold that. Pissing me off. Thoughts on the Kanji? Brilliant. Yeah, love him. 3 world class. Yeah, shut up, man. Shut up. Pipe down. Another one of those. Moderator, time him out. Bored. I'm bored of idiots. Can't be dealing with it. Pissing me off. Courtois didn't even play. Shut up, Liam. Yeah, Courtois didn't play last season. You're right. During the NBA? Yeah, we'll get right on that. Yeah, don't worry, guys. LNobbins is starting at 12:15. Is it? Yes, 12:15. This stream will direct you there. You're too posh to get this angry. I'm not even posh. What does that mean? What does that mean? Mum grew up on a council estate. I went to a normal school. What do you mean? Shut up. I don't care what you are, Lucari. You're pissing me off. Have some critical thinking and sort yourself out. Yeah? Don't come into my streams and try to tell me that Haaland is crap and didn't offer anything. And don't you dare speak in objective terms about Haaland's performances last season against Real Madrid when he was fucking class. Don't be giving me that. Go back and just go watch the highlights. Go watch the world-class saves that Courtois pulled off against Haaland. I don't care what you are. If you say dumb stuff, you say dumb stuff. Pissing me off, man. I love you, Nobbins. Well, I don't love what you're saying. Sort yourself out. Holland's never a dribbler, indeed. I ran Mike from Suits. That sounds like an insult. It sounds like a massive insult. Is there anything else I want to talk about here? We've touched on, I think, everything I want to touch on. There's one thing I need to bring up before we leave, actually. We've got like 6 minutes, then we're going to head over to LB's channel. Anything else you guys want me to touch on in respect of the game, let me know. I did, and you annoyed me. If you're not stupid from now on, I'll take it back. But if you keep doing comments like that, I'm going to call a tree and a stick. You know, I don't care if people super chat me. I don't care if people are my members. I appreciate that. But no one is exempt from criticism. Not even me. If I say something stupid, I want you guys to call me stupid and call me out on it, yeah? How can we fix the fence? Yes, the code, we touched on that earlier. I don't know if we can, to be honest, until the summer. I think. Oi, Will, you frauds. You're about to lose your moderator privileges. How can we fix the fence? Again, I don't think we can until we deal with it in the summer. Yeah, we talked about Grealish, RC. He was unbelievable. He was fantastic. Lucario, I'm sorry. Let's be friends. Let's shake and make up, yeah? Put your hand out to your camera, mate. I'm sorry, you're sorry. It's a beautiful time had by all. Yeah. Last thing I want to touch on. I think I've touched on everything I want to in the game. Judge Mo is a fraudster, and let me tell you why. I like Mo a lot. I love Mo, obviously. But I was on his show earlier in the week, and he said the most unbelievable statements. Weak handshake. Whoa, Connor, I've got a strong handshake, mate. Don't test me. Stay with me, guys, for the next 5 minutes. We'll be going straight to LB's channel after this. Don't go anywhere. Leave a like on the video if you haven't already done so. Why not? There's 240. Right, guys, there's 240 people here. Let's get to 200 likes. 15 more likes for 200, and then I'll be happy. Judge Mo, said that if Arsenal win the double this season, then that is a more impressive achievement than Man City's treble. I was so disappointed when he said that, because I really like Mo. Mo knows I like Mo. His logic was no. I don't agree. Mo's a waffler. Mo's a very sensible, intelligent man. His logic was that because Arsenal are a lot worse than City, therefore it's more impressive. But I should have asked him. Yeah, I should have asked him. So does that mean that Arsenal's treble is more impressive than? Would that mean Arsenal's double is better than any treble that's ever happened? Any continental treble? Is it also better than United's '99? Is it better than Inter 2010? Is it better than Barca in 2009? Is it better than Bayern in 2013? Is it better than Celtic in the 60s? Is it better than who else has done a treble? The treble, sorry. Can't remember who else has done it. I'm sure someone else has done it that I've missed. What? Like, come on, man. Come on. Let's not be silly. Arsenal are a good team, man. We're acting like Arsenal are Leicester or Palace or Wolves. People this season have told me, and I agree with them, Arsenal are the best defensive team in Europe. Arsenal have the best rest defense in Europe. Arsenal are the best out-of-possession side in the world. / Europe, whatever. Now, I probably agree with all of those statements. You know, this season, etc. You can't be, by definition, you cannot be the best defensive team in the world and describe yourself as an underdog. Like, that's crazy to me. We also, lots of Arsenal fans also accept that had Saliba been fully fit last season or not get injured, they would have won the title. So you're telling me that the gap between City and Arsenal last season was so small that Saliba being fit would have meant you won the title, therefore being the better side. The gap's gotten less this season, but somehow there's this chasm between the two. People think that City of last season is the team from March to like May. It's like, no. That team last season was poor for like the majority of it, in relative terms. In its final form, sure, there's a massive chasm. But City's final form of last season was not how they played for the majority of the season. Before I go, because we're going to wrap it up in 1 minute. Since Arteta's come in, Arsenal have spent more money than City. Since Pep has come in, Arsenal have spent more money than City. The only difference between the two over the past 5 seasons, Arsenal spent more than City. The only chasm between the two now is wages. And guys, respect Jack. The only chasm between the two is wages. And guess what, guys? Saliba's been extended, White's been extended, Saka's been extended. So those wages are going to catch up, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So wages aren't going to be an issue long term either. These guys aren't underdogs. And the way they're trying to dress it up as underdogs is weird. Again, they've spent more than us since Pep joined. They spent more than us since Arteta joined. So this narrative that they can't spend as much as City is bollocks. They've spent more. And again, on the wages. I'll be very excited to see next year's accounts. It's going to be very, very similar. Guys, this is now going to take you to LB's channel. Stay on the stream because I'm going to be live for LBins. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'll catch you over on LB's channel and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, guys.